Everybody, I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting to order of the City of Chattanooga Industrial Development Board. Today is Monday, August 4th. Just want to note for the record that we do have a quorum present and this meeting was duly noticed. Board members, you will have the minutes from our July 14th meeting, which is the last time we met, in your packet, and I invite you to have a look at those, and if there are any questions or things we need to discuss, please say so. Take a motion to approve whenever you're ready.
So moved.
Motion to approve those minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those minutes are approved. At this time, I'm happy to recognize any members of the public who'd like to step forward and address this board on anything that's on their mind. Good morning, Ms. Sharp.
Good morning. Helen Burns Sharp, Accountability for Taxpayer Money. APM is a public advocacy group that focuses on tax incentives and transparency. And my comments are about both today. Master Machine, Inc. plans to relocate and expand its Chattanooga workforce, projecting about 45 new jobs. That is good news. It sounds like a great company. The Chamber of Commerce is asking the IDB to provide a grant under the High Growth Jobs and Investment Program, which they recommended you create last year. Here are a few questions you may want to ask as you're considering the resolution on today's agenda. Number one, did the City Council establish the High Growth and Investment Program by resolution, as they did with your Growing Small Business Program? Number two, if so, what are the criteria that must be met? From the information provided in your agenda packet, it appears that the informal program criteria may be 25 new jobs over 3 years and an average annual wage of at least 80% of the current Hamilton County wage. That's a pretty low bar. The other criterion for this program seems to be that the project is not eligible for a pilot, where you and the City Council have established standards on the number of jobs, amount of investment, and wages. Third question, is there a but-for test in this program? In other words, is a tax incentive necessary for a project? Recent press releases on this particular request read like the expansion decision on this project has been made. In fact, your resolution even states the grantee will commence construction on or before July 15th, 2025, which was last month. Here's why this issue matters and is timely. Local property taxes are paid into the city and county general funds, which are the primary funding source for police, parks, libraries, and a myriad of other city and county services. Tax abatements, pilots, and tax diversions, TIFs, reduce revenue that would have gone into the general fund to pay for these services. In 2024 alone, about $27 million was not collected due to these incentive programs. Many of these incentives, like the VW pilot and the Stadium and Bend TIFs, last 20 to 30 years. The City Council currently is in the unenviable position of needing to improve an increase in property taxes. The public is questioning how much belt tightening has been done by the mayor's office in preparing their recommended budget. What sort of message does it send when the IDB is asked to give what would have been taxpayer dollars, if they had been collected, to a business that was going to expand here anyway? It sounds more like more of a reward than an incentive. The funding source for the High Growth and Investment Program is economic development fees paid by pilot and TIF recipients. When this program was established over 10 years ago, it was set up to bypass the City Council. The mayor's office recommends how the IDB should spend this money. It is typically for economic development activities, but last month, you may recall, you were asked to approve funding for the James A. Henry housing-related project on the west side. Conclusion, you're in an unenviable position. The company has likely been told that the grant is a done deal. I recognize the total dollar amount in the larger scheme of things isn't huge, but I think we're in an era of where, public trust really could be increased if people felt like that the policymakers were really looking at this and were trying to do some belt tightening and were only spending property tax monies in areas where they're really needed. So my request to you is that you please discuss these issues and recommend future changes that would improve transparency. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address this board at this time? If not, we will move to our first item, number 5, a presentation by the Chattanooga Chamber regarding Master Machine, Inc. expansion opportunity.
Good morning, Board. Sherry Allen, Senior Advisor for Economic and Workforce Development here at the City of Chattanooga. I'll start by reviewing the staff report that we provide for each of the items that we bring to this board. The staff is recommending approval of this item. It's a performance-based grant in that the company has to create the jobs before the performance is paid out. That would happen over a number of years. The maximum is up to $135,000. Those jobs are verified annually before a payment comes through in April of every year. There's a state statute on your staff report that points to the provision that provides authorization for this. In addition, there is an alignment with economic development plans for this particular item. Those economic development plans are local, starting with the City of Chattanooga, the One Chattanooga plan as it relates to building a regional economy on 3 different priorities: attracting higher paying jobs with target industry recruiting, growing household income for all Chattanoogans through workforce development and skills training, and refining Chattanooga's competitive advantages in trade clusters versus rival cities. Keeping in mind, this is a recruitment project where competitive against another state, and these are jobs that we would like to see happen here in Chattanooga. The last piece is the Chattanooga Climb Higher Strategic Plan, which is funded by both the city and the county on 4 priorities: creating more high-quality jobs, developing skills for a new economy, growing stronger businesses, and increasing regional prosperity for all. I'd also like to add that the state of Tennessee has a stronger focus moving forward on nuclear energy and nuclear assets. Again, because of this company's operation in the space around nuclear, that's why we'd also would like to have those jobs here in the state of Tennessee versus having those go outside the state. So in summary, we're recommending approval of this item. There's a little background information, and then obviously we're looking at the fiscal impact. There is a fiscal impact. That $135,000 is paid out over 5 years, and we have included an Exhibit B, which is the schedule of when those payments would happen, keeping in mind this is an incentive that we are putting in place in partnership with Hamilton County government, and so those payments would be split between the two, but the payment will come from the IDB. And with that, I'd like to ask the chamber to come up and speak to this item.
Good morning, board members. Adam Myers, Vice President of Economic Development with the Chattanooga Area Chamber. I want to thank you all for your consideration for this project this morning, and I'd like to just run through kind of a brief overview of the project itself, how it came to be, how we've kind of arrived here today, and then go over a little bit more in details of the grant program as well. So Master Machine has been operating in Chattanooga since 1993, and they specialize in system design and manufacturing, build-to-print services, obsolete reverse engineering, equipment qualifications, commercial grade dedication and complex fabrication, and they're really primarily focused on industries, including nuclear power generation, supplying that industry. They also work a lot with defense contracts through Naval Nuclear and the Department of Energy. They currently operate a couple of facilities in and around the 1410 Workman Road area, where they are employing 72 employees currently. So with the expansion, the company had reached out to the Chattanooga Chamber through our Business Retention Expansion Program in 2024 regarding this potential expansion. At the time, the company was also considering operations that they have in North Carolina as well as South Carolina, though North Carolina was our primary competition for this project. So what Master Machine is proposing is the expansion of their Chattanooga operations by locating to a brand new 79,000 square foot facility at 200 Commerce Street. And I say brand new, that is brand new for them. This is an older building that they would be putting significant dollars into retrofit and upgrade the facility for their needs. So as you can see here with their capital investment, they will be investing into that facility $7.7 million in real property improvements, as well as $2.5 million in personal property improvements. And then the new jobs created would be 45 new jobs by 12/31 of 2029, at an average wage of $72,330. And that is roughly about 111% of the average wage in Hamilton County right now, which is just over $65,000. And then the estimated new payroll at full ramp up is just about 3.2 million. So once those 45 new jobs are created, that is the estimated new payroll for the operations. And then the High Growth Jobs and Investment Program, and working with the City of Chattanooga staff, Mayor Kelly and his administration, as well as Hamilton County and Mayor Wamp and his administration, this is a performance-based incentive program really designed for the creation and retention of net new jobs. It addresses need for new tools, which is in Mayor Kelly's One Chattanooga plan, to be able to support high-growth expansions, relocations, and new operations that are competitive, but maybe not necessarily meeting pilot thresholds. So if you remember with our pilot thresholds, those companies need to be creating at least 100 new jobs. They need to be investing at least 20 million on the manufacturing side. We still have competitive-based projects here that are not going to meet those thresholds. And frankly, as we want to diversify the economic base here in Chattanooga, some of these small businesses, small projects will be crucial in how they create new jobs and looking at programs too. So this is a method to be able to compete for those type of investments. The project should be in target industries, creating at least 25 new jobs over 3 years, and have average wages of at least 80% of the current Hamilton County average wage, which gets updated every year. And then the incentive payout is based on the new jobs and wages. So again, this is a performance-based incentive. The company would not receive any dollars until the jobs are both created and retained. And we'll be able to go over what the payout schedule looks like here momentarily. So for this project, it is proposing a 3,000 job incentive for Master Machine totaling $135,000, which would be paid out between years 2026 and 2033. And half of that payment would come, if approved by Hamilton County Commission, directly to the IDB to support the full amount. So Hamilton County would support 50% of the incentive amount, and they will be voting on that this coming Wednesday. We presented to Hamilton County this previous Wednesday and received very good comments from them and believe to have full support from the County Commission. The other 50% would come from the City of Chattanooga's IDB, being funded through those economic development payments on our pilots. And this is the payout schedule, where you can see here the company is proposing to create at least 9 new jobs by 12/31 of 2026 of each, well, 2026, 27, 28, 29, as well as 2025. And for each year of job creation, the payout gets spread out by 25%. So the company not only has to create the jobs when they say they're going to create them, but they also have to retain those jobs in order to receive the full payout. So your payout ends up working like a bell curve, where the maximum amount of grant award that the company could potentially receive in any given year is $13,500. It's a way to help communities really mitigate the risk associated with these projects by making it fully performance-based. And then again, on the compliance side, Master Machine would be required to submit annual compliance reports that shows new jobs were created by December 31st of each proposed ramp-up year. The company must meet at least 90% of those proposed job creation to receive any payout for that year. So they have to be within 90% of their compliance metrics in order to even receive their payout that year. And then the incentive amounts are up too. So if the company does go above and beyond their job creation estimates, that payout would remain the same each year. So it's not something where the company has, proposed to create 9 jobs, they create 13 jobs, and that could accelerate their payout or grant them more payout. That's not how this program would work. It is an up to amount, and this is a fixed amount that they are eligible for. In addition, the company will be required to submit 4-quarter average employment figures to ensure that the previous year's jobs are also retained. So that's part of the retention aspect of the program too. And so once the city and the county have confirmed confirmed compliance, the IDB would then provide the incentive amount by March 1st of that year's compliance. And that was as determined by city staff as we worked through the contracts. So we do have Warren Braden, a president with Master Machine here, who we'd like to call up now just to make a few comments and help answer any questions you might have for the company.
Good morning, Warren Brandon, president of Master Machine. We currently operate at 1401 Workman Road and 3801 Dodge. So we are very excited to continue our growth in basically nuclear power, Department of Energy here in Chattanooga, and we really appreciate your consideration to support that. So I'll be happy to answer any questions you got.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the presentation. I've got a couple. Is the company locally owned? Who owns Master Machine?
Okay, so the company started in 1993, and I bought the company in 2014. However, I sold the company in '23. It is owned by a company called NWS Technologies based out of Spartanburg, South Carolina. And so we have operations in Chattanooga, Spartanburg, and then Wilmington, North Carolina.
Gotcha.
So as Adam said, there was consideration for, we had other campuses that when we were looking at growth, so.
Understood, thank you. Is the growth that you're proposing here tied to anything in particular? I'm just curious, is there a contract or something new that's happening in terms of business development that's?
So that's a great question. You've probably seen it all over the news. Our energy infrastructure is going to be lacking moving into the future, in my opinion, and many would agree that nuclear power and high advanced reactor type stuff is going to fill that need. So our growth is being primarily driven by the growth in nuclear power, Department of Energy, uranium production, and that is the markets that we play significantly in. So we are seeing that growth right now. We've grown over 1,600% since 2015, and our pipeline of work and conversations we're in with DOE, DOD is driving our future. That's what we're investing in.
Yeah, that's good. From a skill standpoint, are you confident, or you have any trepidation about the recruitment that you're going to need to meet these targets?
We've always been able to find them, and that's a big reason why we'd like to stay in Chattanooga. As you saw, our average wage for these growth positions, and this is not executive positions, is around $72,000, which is, I think,
111%.
111% of the average wage. So machinists, welders, engineers are really the toughest. The trade skills we really have to work for, but we've always been able to find them, and I think the job market here in Chattanooga really helps with that.
That's good. Those are my questions. Yes, sir.
You give priority to military veterans in hiring?
That's a great question, sir. We do not have a specific program that has quotas for veteran hiring, but what we found, especially in nuclear, because of the nuclear Navy, we found that the skill set that they developed from the veteran program, being in the military, aligns very well with our needs. And in fact, I hired a Marine 4 weeks ago. So what I found is when I see resumes come across, I love veterans, number one, because of the technical skills they probably picked up, but number two, the work ethic. So we have a great affinity to go to veterans. Thank you.
I've got a question for Mr. Myers. The 3,000 proposal, where did that number come from?
So that is based on the average wages. So if you remember, AIS Enclosure Systems was just below the average wage, so they were awarded $2,500 per job because they fit below. 3,000 would be if they are between 100% of the average wage as well as 150% of the average wage. Once you go up to 150%, that award value could increase, but it is solely determined by the average wage.
Okay. Is this a all or nothing with IDB and the county? And I believe you said they will vote after us.
Correct. So I would consider this as an all or nothing because the county's resolution is to grant the money to the city's IDB.
And then who's going to check the compliance? Is it somebody from Sharita, your staff, and the county staff? Are y'all working together? How will that
Happy to
work?
let Sheree answer, but I can answer that as well. We will collect the compliance, but we are also asking that the companies submit their compliance reports that they have to submit to the state of Tennessee when they report employment on a quarterly basis. We then submit those reports to the city and the county to confirm compliance.
Okay.
I had one question, Adam, just for the record, to Ms. Sharp's question earlier, the High Growth Jobs Investment Program, and this is maybe also for Sharita, this has not been codified by the city council, right? I mean, the bullet point that you've got here, this is a guidance rather than a codified incentive program. Is that accurate to say?
I will let Sheree answer.
It's not a problem, I'm just wanting to, I'm curious.
That is correct, it has not. So historically, the items that have been codified by city council and brought to the Industrial Development Board have also come with funding. And so this did not. This was separate funding from the economic development fees, keeping in mind the IDB was never meant to be a rubber stamp for the city council. It is a separate entity with powers from the state to operate with business and industry. Most cities have their own IDBs to handle the industry portion of job creation projects. And again, if there are any programs that the city would like to move to the IDB, they do so through ordinance along with funding. So that was not done in this particular case.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
just one other question on here. I noticed under default and remedies, there's no clawback of anything here, and that was one of my questions, I guess, in that regard. In that event, the grant goes, but in the event that the number of employees is not made to the amounts that have agreed, then we can terminate the agreement, correct?
Yes, you have the ability to terminate the agreement, and more so, again, the reason why there is not a clawback is
Yes.
because the company has to perform ahead of time before any money is distributed to them.
Okay, but in the event they do not perform, then we can terminate the agreement at that time.
Correct. I believe there is a certain amount of time within there that they have,
So
if they are not
30-day
meeting compliance a
cure
few
period.
years in a row.
Yes. Okay.
Myers, and Mr. Brandon, is construction already started?
No, no, we have not started construction. We have closed on the building. So we did buy the building. We have significant, as Adam said, we have significant improvements that we have to make. Parts of the building was actually built in the 1800s, so we have a little bit of work to do to get it up to the standards that our customers are looking for. But it's got good bones.
Okay,
Hey,
gotcha.
Mr. Brandon, where does this take your square footage from what you're operating in multiples to a consolidated?
Yeah, so we're moving into, and we are consolidating all of our operations. We're in 4 buildings right now, operating about 40,000, so we're doubling our space. Yeah. We think that's about it. Yeah, we've got that'll give us enough opportunity for a good runway for growth.
For this particular program, I'm not aware of any standards that we have to govern our decision. Do we have any for this particular program, Mr. Myers?
Yeah.
Sure.
I believe we do, and I believe that would also be a very good question for Ms. Allen as well. Because really, we work with the city staff to create these type of tools.
We do have standards and guidelines that we put into place when we brought the very first proposal to this board. I'm happy to provide copies of that, but we do have standards in place. And so, again, those are tied to the job creation, wages, industry, all of those are in there.
Is that something that we've approved?
Yes.
Okay, I forgot. Okay, thank you.
Great question. Other questions? Goodness.
I guess I have one question, and this is a Ms. Allen question. So this would be a $135,000 commitment over a number of years. Is there a specific way that we're tracking these kinds of commitments? Because it's not going to come from just this year, and it's not necessarily going to come from one year in particular, right?
Yes, I'm working closely with accounting to make sure that we are tracking these commitments.
So it's
that
like a
we make.
restricted amount that we or somehow put.
So essentially, the funds that once the funds are awarded, those are allocated for a particular project, so those funds cannot be spent.
Okay.
Other questions? Very nice. If there are none, the next item would be a resolution to move forward with this, which I will read. Number 6, a resolution authorizing the Industrial Development Board Chair or Vice Chair to execute a project grant agreement, High Growth Jobs and Investment Program, with Economic Development Project Master Machine, Inc. for a competitive performance-based grant per job to support talent development in nuclear utilities, Department of Defense, and Department of Energy infrastructure. Happy to discuss or hear other questions, or I can take a motion at your convenience.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve, and just note that I believe this is one of the highest average wage requests that we've had. And this is, I mean, our name is Industrial Development. This is what we're looking for. So I commend Mr. Warren on the high paying and the high skilled jobs and wish them the best. And I hope he'll come back for a pilot one day.
Moved and so noted. Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Resolution passes. Thank you very much. Under number 7, other business discussion items. Mr. Rogers, I know that you had emailed about a question you'd had regarding the allocation or appropriation of funds we made at our last meeting. Did you want to pose that for the record and talk about any exchange that we've had just to
Yeah,
get on the
just-
same page about that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, just briefly, I know, and I apologize to my fellow IDB members, but I know the mayor and his staff and Sharita and everybody want to make sure that what we do, we have the proper authority. And forgive me, but in my 11 or so years of experience, I'm not aware of us distributing money from IDB funds to more what I would consider more of a housing type project. And so certainly news of that new statute was new to me. And we've since gotten confirmation from our city attorney, Mr. Noblet, and he's gotten further confirmation, as he can tell you, from some others, including Mr. Mamontoff. And so certainly I feel much better about the vote, and that under the recently, and I mean as in it was effective May the 2nd, 2025 statute that the Tennessee General Assembly passed, that we do have that authority. So it's one of those things, I guess it's a learning thing, certainly for me, because I wasn't aware of it. So thank you to Phil and Mark and Joe Kelly and
Yes.
Sharita for working with us to make sure we're comfortable with our decisions, or at least I was. So thank you.
Thank you for the question, and Phil and everyone, go ahead.
I was just going to say, hopefully it's not Mo, Larry, and Curly that you're getting these responses from, but I tried to go to the sources of people that would be able to tell. So Mr. Kelly with CHA, I went with Mr. Mamontoff, and I also went into the statute here where we were looking at it on there. And the authority under 753-302 is pretty darn broad to begin with, and then project is what we should have been looking at, I guess, under 753-101, which has got a number of these areas included in there. And so those provisions are clearly in support for what the IDB can do here as to sell, donate, or convey any of its properties in here. So we felt comfortable about that. This new statute, 753-318B3, also has got authority to fund building multifamily housing that is also building infrastructure. And so that is a new provision that is applicable, but and that provision in there does not have the item in here about going to get an infrastructure improvement from the commissioner as well. So that's another question. But I think the other authority under 753-101-15 gets you there clearly, because this is low and moderate housing authority.
Mr. Chairman, I have, through this back and forth we've had over this issue, I've had one question that comes to my mind, and that is, when we're getting this feedback from outside, I mean, Mr. Kelly, is Mr. Kelly in the city attorney's office?
No.
Still? Okay.
No, no longer at all. Mr. Kelly had other issues here and ended up leaving our office and is working only for CHA.
Okay, so when we get outside counsel involved, like Mr. Mamontoff or Mr. Kelly, who pays those guys? Does that come out of our funds? Sure, doesn't it?
It does come out of the IDB funds when we were asking for additional opinions that are outside of our normal course of business. So for instance, the staff report that we put together for items on which this board votes, we consult with our city attorney when we're pulling those staff reports together. We have our outside counsel, Mark Mamontoff, because he works with so many IDBs across the state of Tennessee. He also reviews that. We review it with the chamber, and then finally, we review those staff reports with the accounting team before we bring them forward. So all of that's a normal course of business. If there's an issue that comes up that happens after the fact, where we then have to engage them outside of the normal course, as we did this weekend, there's an additional cost to that. If we have to ask Mark Mamontoff to travel to come in to defend an item at the board, there's an additional cost for that. And then we would bring those additional costs to the board. Historically, we've taken those costs through economic development, but when they're solely IDB related to IDB projects, we will bring those costs to the board.
Okay.
And ultimately, I guess as the city attorney, I have to approve outside counsel costs, but Mr. Kelly has not charged us anything, so.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, and I asked those questions, Mr. Chairman, primarily just to as a reminder that we do have those resources available to us if we need it from time to time. And I assume that means whether it's legal, accounting, or what have you, we could tap something. Okay,
We do. We have a line item in our budget that is for those expenses and costs.
okay.
It's better to have several eyes look at sometimes too, so that's
Yeah.
why we did it.
I appreciate that, and this was a complex and unusual situation, so I appreciate the additional scrutiny on it.
Chair, if I might.
Please.
If I may, I would also like to thank the board for not engaging in dialogue via email as the emails came in this weekend. Because there was a lot of reply all, but there was never any discussion, and so I appreciated that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Okay, anything else on this matter before we move on? We also have an FYI, an IDB debt report filed with the Comptroller's Office. Who speaks to that? Anyone?
Good morning.
Morning.
Weston Porter, CFO for the city. This is just a report that we have, the state requires us to present to the board. It lists, I think you should have it there. If not, we can make sure you get a copy of it. It has y'all's contact info and the debt that the IDB has. And it's just something, again, that has to be brought before the board for your information.
Okay.
So the IDB is now reported to the state as required here, and they, folks in the comptroller's office know all of your names. So just be aware.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any other items for discussion today? The date of our next meeting, I know we're running up into Labor Day. September the 8th, we will come back. If there are no other items, I'll hear a motion to adjourn. And we are adjourned. Thank you all.